Julian, you have any early announcements, or should you save everything for the end of the call?
No, we'll save it for the end of the call.
All right, cool deal. Well, let's start with the quote. The higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The higher the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. I'll repeat that again. The higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater influence needs to be. So that leads us into the first chapter of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which is the law of the lid. That's the law of the lid. And it states in the book, leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. So when you're getting on this call every single day to build your mindset, to build the mindset of people you've invited to the call, what are you doing? You're literally building your level of effectiveness, because you're learning different techniques that you can apply into the marketplace, that you can apply into your life, that you can apply into within your household about leadership and mindset, and you're literally raising the bar. You're expanding, you're exploding that lid of effectiveness. And before I move forward, I just want to simply do roll call, guys. This is Mike Williams calling in from Long Island, New York. Go.
Becky McConnell, Berkeley Falls, Ontario.
Thanks for the call.
This is
This is
Jules
Christy
from LA.
Howard out of Northern Virginia.
This is Annie from North Carolina.
It's Dion from Minnesota.
Tammy, LA.
Right through JOL, Washington State.
Yo, he cracks me up every time. Oh, my goodness. What's up? Everybody, absolutely welcome to the call. I mean, I almost forgot roll call. I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't ask people to state their name, where you're calling from. If you're newbie to the call and you didn't get to state your name, where you're calling from, remember to do it next time. It is important. It means a lot to us, because just to hear all these different voices and names calling from all different places throughout the country is very exciting for us. It keeps us going. It gets us here every day. It keeps us in our books and just learning the material to bring it to the marketplace. We even had somebody call all the way from Singapore, and it was like 12 in the morning over there, and he called into the call. So that stuff is really powerful and magical, and we love to share. So with that said, let's rock out. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Okay, this chapter is going to help you to understand the value of leadership and how it is important in your life and how it is important in your business. When your level of leadership is at a 4, you can't lead anybody past a 3. Right? So every single day, every single month, every single year that we're in business or that we're just, leading our communities, we want to raise that level of effectiveness. We want to get it to as high as possible. If it's a scale from 1 to 10, you want to get to as close to 10 as possible to get the most, to affect not only the most people, but to get the most done, right, by raising that level of effectiveness. So that's what this chapter was all about, the law of the lid. Leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. So it says in the book, leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. So let's define lid. Lid is something that confines, limits, or suppresses, right? A lid is something that confines, limits, or suppresses. So the higher we continue to raise this lid, the more of our core influence will actually hit the marketplace. The more we start to step into our power and become people who can not only lead themselves, but lead others. And not just lead others, right, but lead a large crowd of others, because we want to affect people in the most way possible. So what do? We have to have the most influence possible. We have to influence the most amount of people possible. Or if we don't at least influence a ton of people, we can influence enough people that will go out there and influence even more people, if you get what I'm saying. So something that confines, limits, and suppresses, that's what the lid is. So we want to eventually get to a point in our business and life where we just explode this lid and we just keep growing, constantly affecting more people in our lives. So it says to change the direction of the organization, you have to change the leader. So to change the direction of the organization, you have to change the leader. So let's put this in the perspective of you leading yourself, right? So when a country is in shambles, they look for a new president. When a company loses money, they look for a new CEO. When a church is losing members or a church is not operating as it once was, they look for a new pastor. When a sports team is losing, they look for a new coach, right? So when you're thinking it from a perspective of your own life, when your life is in shambles, it's time for you to recreate your life and become a new president, right? When you start to lose money, it's time for you to start reinventing yourself and becoming the new CEO of your life, right? When you start slipping spiritually, it's time to what? It's time to reinvent yourself, right? And be a new spiritual leader to yourself, right? When you start losing the game, it's time for you to reinvent yourself and become a new coach. Last week, we talked a lot about leading ourselves, right? We talked about leading ourselves, which is extremely important. If we can't be effective in our own life, we definitely can't be effective in somebody else's life. There's so many areas there's certain areas that you need to focus on. And what I'm going to share with you today is 5 tips that's going to help you raise your lid of effectiveness in the marketplace and in your own life so you can start getting more results. All right, cool deal. So let's talk about number 1. Number 1 is pay attention and get feedback from marketers you respect. So I need you to start really paying attention to what your results are. Okay? Sometimes we get so caught up in doing. We don't fall back. And I remember Angie Long mentioning this a few days ago. She said, you know what, all week I fell back and I just listened. She fell back and she just listened. Not only listen to the marketplace, but you listen to your results that you're currently getting, right? And you point at certain areas. And you start to get that feedback, right? And then you ask somebody that you respect. Like I would ask a Jermaine Steele. I would ask a Julian Tang. I would say, hey, bro, listen, what feedback can you give me based on what you're seeing? Number 2, I want you to pay attention to your results and pick areas of behavior to change. I think this is the area everybody skips over. We're constantly doing the same thing over and over and over. See, when you do the same thing, you're going to get the same thing. So you need to start pinpointing certain behaviors that you definitely need to change. Sometimes we're getting so much results in a specific area, we don't realize other areas we need to change. And if we combine the two, we can get even more results. So you have to pay attention to your results and pick areas of behavior that you immediately need to start changing. Immediately need to start changing, right? So, for example, when I was going to the gym, I'm in the gym, I'm doing my thing, but I'm just at a standstill. So I'm like, man, why am I at the standstill? And then I started to reevaluate all the results that I was getting, and I was doing the same routine over and over and over. So the body got used to this routine. So I wasn't getting any more growth because I wasn't telling my muscles, hey, listen, let's try this, let's try that. Let's push a little bit further. So I switched up the routine. I called in a coach. I switched up the routine, got some different advice, and within a week or 2, I started to get some drastic results based because I paid attention to the results that I was getting. I got feedback from a coach. He gave me some new things that I could focus on, and I now have new results, right? If that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, well, I want you guys to definitely focus and take this stuff all in. All right, one step at a time. Take it all in. Write it down. If you don't write it down, listen to the audios later when we send out the recordings, because this stuff is very important about evaluating what you already got going on and pointing holes in those areas that you definitely need to change. Number 3, reach out to your peers. Now, your peers are people who are getting similar results to you. They're on the same level as you, right? These are your peers. So these are people on the same level of success. Ask them, what areas do you believe I can grow in, right? Is it people skills, planning and strategy? Now, these are some examples from the book. He said people skills, planning and strategy, vision, results, right? Ask them, is there some things that you can work on, right? And earnestly, and don't sit back with your arm closed. I want you to sit back, right? Have your arms open, be as open as possible to the information that they're giving you. And number 4, listen to their ideals, okay? Number 4 is listen to their ideals. A lot of people give you all these different tips and tricks, but I need you to listen to the ideals. You can't make a promise that you're going to make all the changes. You can't make a promise that you're going to apply all the strategies. But what you can make a promise is that you will listen and you will implement the strategies that you think are most important for you to get some different results. You're going to listen and implement the strategies that you believe you can definitely get some better results with that change, okay? Number 5, you guys heard me say this before, simply relentless follow-up. I want you to start measuring the change and the effectiveness over time. You know, like I said earlier in the call, we do things so often, over and over and over. We forget to sit back and actually measure. I know for a long time in my business, I wasn't tracking links. And for all those most people on the call, you're entrepreneurs, you're online entrepreneurs. So if you're not an online entrepreneur, I apologize for the terminology mix-ups, but just stick with me and understand, just stick with me. Eventually, the bigger picture will pop into your head. But when I was in business, I wasn't tracking any links that I was sending out to the marketplace, right? I wasn't paying attention to who was opening my emails in my autoresponder. I wasn't paying attention to what headlines were getting me more results. I wasn't tracking this stuff. So I was constantly going out there just doing it and doing it and doing it. And I just got all this mumbo jumbo in the marketplace expecting some results to come in. But once I started to actually track this stuff and pay attention to the results that I was getting, right, and pay attention to the different things that I was doing every day, all of a sudden I started to see the areas that I was getting the most results. And once you start to see the areas you're getting the most results, what do? You scale up. You scale up in that particular area. And you just let that area go. And as you let that grow, you let that expand, then you start to work on something else and do the same exact thing. Start tracking and implementing the different strategies, if that makes sense, guys. So number 1, I want you to pay attention and get feedback from marketers you respect. Number 2, I want you to pay more attention to your results and pick areas of behavior to change. Number 3, I want you to reach out to your peers, all right, people on your level of success, and ask them what areas do you believe I can grow in. Number 4, I want you to listen to their ideals and make the changes that truly can help you. Number 5, relentless follow-up. Measure the change and effectiveness over time. We always follow up with our prospects, but how often do we follow up with ourselves? Start following up with yourself each and every day. We had a cool exercise last week where you were pretty much jotting down hour for hour the things that you were doing. This is paying attention to your results. This is paying attention to how effective you're actually being. This is paying attention to your work ethic, period. Once you start to pay attention to these areas, you can drum down on what behaviors you need to change ASAP to start getting better and faster results. People in business are speedy. The ones who are speedy get the most results. The ones who are speedy make the most money. The ones who get information and immediately implement it gets the most money. So take these 5 tips that you've learned today, apply them in your business and life as quickly as possible to start getting some faster results. Guys, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. We have 24 hours in a day. You need to utilize that time as best as possible. Just yesterday, I found out that somebody else that I went to high school with just passed away. This person is barely 30. They just passed away. Was this person in a position of their life that they could be happy with? I'm not sure. But I'm here to tell you, if I passed away today, I don't know how happy I would be with everything that I've done. And you need to ask yourself that same question. If you passed away and you looked back on your life, would you be happy with all the things that you've done? Understand that time is of the essence. Tomorrow is not promised. Start taking the action that you need today. And see, here's the cool thing about being on the internet. You do not have to spend all day taking action. If you don't choose to. You don't have to spend all day taking action. But ask yourself, how effective is the actions that I'm taking? The actions that I'm currently taking, how effective are they? Pay attention to your results, guys. It's 12:18. I know my man Jules is probably pasting and getting ready.
I'm
He had
definitely
some
patient.
things I know he had some things he wanted to share with the marketplace today, and I want to give him that time and space so he can actually bring his ideals onto the call, so you guys can definitely have another perspective of raising your lid to be more effective in your business. With that being said, my friend, the floor is yours.
Oh, buddy. I just want to say one thing to you, Mike, which is jinx, because I have mapped out on my whiteboard, and we are almost identical in the concepts and things that we were going to talk about with this chapter. I mean, it's really amazing. I mean, we're getting on the same wavelength here. It's pretty crazy. But guys, anyways, just to keep going off of what Mike said, I mean, he gave you 5 steps, right? Results, get that feedback, look at what you're doing. The number 2 thing, pick areas to change, right? Do the same, get the same. We hear this all the time. You want some different results in your life, you got to do something different. And I'm going to tell you guys a quick story in just a minute, okay, about this. And it's really interesting. It applies exactly to what we're talking about in this chapter, okay? This 3rd thing was reach out to your peers, right? Reach out to your peers. Get some feedback, right? Who is your core circle? Ask them, hey, Mike, how am I doing? What can I do better, right? What areas could I get better results in? What do you see that I need to really improve? Because if you're not willing to be cut, right, how can you become and shape into that diamond? Right? We're trying to become diamonds here, right? You got to be willing to get cut. A diamond works under pressure, right? How did we form a diamond? It came from coal, a lump of coal, right? And as pressure and more pressure over time and cut after cut became a diamond. That's what we're trying to do, right? That's what we're trying to do with our lives, right? It's trying to strive for the top. So reach out to your peers. Let them cut you. They're doing it for your own good, right? They're not doing it out of being malicious. They're doing it to help you. And at the same time, cut each other back, right? Help them out. What could they do? Be a good friend to them. Hey, bro. Hey, sister. You could do this a little bit different, and I think you're going to get a lot more results. And by the way, I got your back. I'm willing to help you out. Let's work on it together. You're both going to grow, all right? So reach out to your peers. That's the 3rd thing. 4th thing, listen to their ideas, right? I just told you, right? Let's get on that page of like, you know what, Mike told me I should do this, and I, you know what, I really should do it because he's right. So let's start implementing that. Hey, Mike, how could I implement this better in the way that I'm doing it, right? Hey, Donnie, how could I implement this better in the way that we're marketing, right? Doing things like that, right? So we're going to listen to the way. And we're just going to relentlessly follow up, right? Number 5, we're going to relentlessly follow up until we achieve it. And we're not going to give up because we don't give up on this call. Why? Because we're developing the mindset to win. And all we do every day on this call and every day while you're working is win, right? You have a win list. You're going down your win list, checking off win after win after win after win, right? By the end of the week, you've got, 50 wins if you're doing like 10 things a day. So you guys are winners on this call. That's what we do. We do win. Why? Because we're training our mindset. We're growing our mind to win, right? And Mike had actually a really, really cool post that he put on the wall today for this call, and it was efficiency and effectiveness, right? Efficiency, doing things right. And you think about the book, right? In our book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the first chapter we're talking about McDonald's franchise, right? We talk about the 2 brothers that opened the franchise, and they sold like 15 franchises, and the whole time that they had it. Because their leadership wasn't very good. So their effectiveness wasn't very good, right? So they were doing all the right things. They had the right hamburgers, the right menus, and all that kind of stuff. Got a great place, location, but they weren't being as effective as they could be, right? So the other part of Mike's wall post there was effectiveness, doing the right things, right? Not just doing things right, but doing the right things. And then when they brought in the other leader, right, that's when things took off for McDonald's because then all of a sudden they did 100 franchises in a year, right? So that's where you're being effective, and that's where leadership comes in. You start thinking about what you're doing every day. You start thinking about those IPAs, right? Are you being effective, or are you just being efficient? You want to be effective, guys. You want to be effective, right? Because doing those IPAs is not just about getting on this call and doing the first IPA, right, of developing your mindset. It's the follow-up. It's doing the second actions, right? It's getting the sales. It's getting the leads. It's getting the